Today I want to discuss with you some of the countries that are opening up for tourism this month. We are talking November 2021. The best news is that many of the places that we're going to discuss in this video have been closed for so long. I know the pandemic has really taken a big toll on people, restricting them from most international travel. And right now things are opening up again. Vaccination rates are going up. Cases, hospitalizations, and death rates are decreasing. So you have really every reason in the world to look forward to going back to these places again. Having a look at the first country that is not entirely opening up this month, but it is opening up a very specific tourist destination that you've probably heard of, which is Phu Quoc. Okay, Phu Quoc, Vietnam, is scheduled to open its borders to international tourists this month. This is fantastic news, especially for the Southeast Asia lovers that have been waiting patiently, desperately to get back into the region with the fewest restrictions possible. While you cannot go back to Vietnam if you haven't gotten your shot yet, only fully vaccinated travelers from a list of countries that Vietnam considers as safe will be allowed to enter the country, or I should say the island, when it reopens in November 2021. Vietnam is planning to just run a few international flights per day. So the country is going to operate at a very limited capacity. If you want to get there, if you want to be one of the first that gets back into Vietnam despite some entry restrictions, then definitely keep an eye on the news, keep an eye on the updates to make sure that you don't miss out when the country opens up, because there is going to be a limit in place like I told you. Why is Vietnam opening up the island of Phu Quoc and not other parts of the country? That has to do with the high vaccination rate goal of the island. And the reopening of the island has actually been delayed due to the slow vaccine rollout. However, things look a lot better in the country right now, and Phu Quoc is going to be the first place to open to fully vaccinated tourists. You're probably going to need a negative PCR test as well, and be ready to be tested when you enter the country. Random screening may apply as well. Really take a look at all the details. Talk to your embassy to make sure you get the most up-to-date information before you get on your flight. This is really important. Vietnam has scheduled to open other tourist destinations like Da Lat, Ha Long Bay, Nha Trang, and many others by year end. However, the reopening date is yet to be confirmed, as it greatly depends on the current COVID situation and the vaccination rates in the country. This is an estimate. It is just an estimate. No fixed date has been mentioned yet. So definitely keep an eye on that as well. We all hope that the country will open up these other destinations. However, it is not clear. And the country has also said, the government has said that most of Vietnam will be ready to open by Q2 2022. On the other side of the world, the United States is scheduled to reopen on November 8th. So this reopening is already taking place. And just as Vietnam, the United States only allows fully vaccinated travelers from the European Union to enter the country. Travelers from countries with vaccination rates below 10% will also be allowed to enter the United States, provided they agree to be vaccinated within 60 days of arrival in the country. This is a contingency. If your country of origin is a country that has had a really slow vaccine rollout, guess what? You can go to the United States. However, you really need to comply with all entry restrictions, and you need to get the shots when you arrive. This is important. You cannot break this agreement, otherwise it will lead you to trouble. Something that's also very positive to mention is that land borders are opening up again. So if you're coming in from Mexico, Canada, you're going to be allowed in, but again, the same rules apply. You need to be fully vaccinated, no quarantine required whatsoever. As long as you're fully vaccinated and you can prove it, you need to have your vaccine passport, vaccine certificate. You prove it at the border, you are allowed in without any further restrictions that you need to comply to. This is great news for Canadians and Mexican travelers that have been waiting to get into the United States for such a long time. So this is really, really good news for you guys. Jumping over to Southeast Asia, Langkawi, Malaysia is also scheduled to open its borders this month. So we're talking November. Very similar concept as the Phuket Sandbox program. Only fully vaccinated travelers that agree and are gonna stay within the sandbox, okay, which is the island Langkawi, are allowed to enter. You need to have a negative PCR test. Further testing will be conducted once you arrived on the island of Langkawi. Malaysia has really reached its vaccination goal. Right now, 90% of Malaysia's population is fully vaccinated. Malaysia has one of the highest vaccination rates in the entire world. Have done a really good job vaccinating their people. When is Malaysia opening up the rest of the country, you may ask? This is a very good question, and it really all depends on the success or failure of the Sandbox program, of the Langkawi program. Should it be successful, then the whole country will open up. It's just a duplication of what Thailand has been doing over the past months. So given the fact that Thailand has opened up the whole country on November 1st, but again, only to fully vaccinated travelers that comply with all the entry restrictions, okay, the tests, and 1 day at a quarantine-approved hotel. So you can assume it's very likely that Malaysia will impose the same restrictions for travelers coming in. They kind of observed what Thailand is doing, and now they're opening up for the winter season, because that's when Southeast Asian countries really can expect to make the most bang for the buck. The last country that is going to open up this year, okay, it's gonna happen at the end of November, is Cambodia. The thing with Cambodia is it's only opening up 2 regions, okay, 2 designated areas as they like to call it. And the 2 designated areas are Sihanoukville and the islands. Now, this is good news, okay? If you enter into these designated areas, you stay there for 5 days, and you should test negative for COVID. You need to get tested after you arrive. Very important. You're free to travel wherever you want in the country. Fantastic news, right? Before, the government said, you know what, we're only going to allow Chinese and South Korean travelers to enter Cambodia until, we have reached a much higher vaccination rate. However, Cambodia now says, nope, this no longer applies. We're allowing all international travelers to come in that, match our criteria. They're vaccinated, they present a negative PCR test upon arrival, are okay getting tested again once they arrive, and remain within the designated area for 5 days. I know this is quite a little bit of restriction for you to get into the country. However, you can stay in Cambodia as a tourist, you can probably get a business visa, and chances are you will even be able to cross Cambodia, and who knows, you'll probably also be able to travel to Thailand from Cambodia. I mean, we're talking over land. This is fantastic news, right? So the countries are opening up right now. Singapore has also opened up with restrictions, of course. The good thing about Singapore is that fully vaccinated travelers are allowed in. There's really no further testing required upon arrival. So unlike Thailand, Malaysia, Cambodia, I mean, those countries all require further testing for you to be free. Singapore does not really do that. Singapore allows people from certain countries, as long as they're fully vaccinated, and yeah, then you're a free man in Singapore. Which of the discussed countries do you want to visit this winter? Do you want to visit these countries this winter, or rather wait until the air clears, until possibly no restrictions are in place? I mean, this is a really tricky situation right now, so let us know. Are you going to Southeast Asia this winter? Are you going to the US? What are your plans? Leave a comment below and let us know. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm uploading new videos on travel updates, visas, and digital nomad locations several times a week right now. Before I let you go, I got 2 recommendations for you. Recommendation 1, I showed a video on the best cities to live in the entire world. If you want to watch this video, click on the link right here. Recommendation 2, I showed another video on countries with easy residence permits. These are countries, if you want to migrate, if you want to get residency somewhere else, if you want to get a second passport somewhere else, then these countries are phenomenal options for you. If you want to check out this video, you can do so by clicking here. Thank you for watching.